It's Such a Beautiful Day is no doubt the saddest film I've ever watched. The film's maker is Don Hertzfeldt, who has strong influences in the adult animation sphere because creators such as Aqua Teen Hunger Force, BoJack Horseman, and Cyanide Happiness has cited his work and lent him homage. Such a Beautiful Day was published in 2012 and is often regarded as the best animated film or one of the best animated films of all time. The film's story is about a stick-figure man who suffers from an unknown neurological disorder, and the ideas of this film are being driven by this particular conflict. Through the film's portrayal of the devastating consequences of a life fraught with routine, as well as wasted time, existing in the moment, and the emotional act of reconciliation. It's Such a Beautiful Day endows us with a message about the negative impacts of living a life without meaning and harmony. Through the film's portrayal of the harmful impacts from living with repetition, the film's message is implied that this sort of life makes it void of purpose. For instance, earlier in the film captures multiple instances of Bill doing different tasks. Bill then reflects on his life and comes to the conclusion that the majority of his life consists of humdrum tasks. Later in the film, Bill is on his deathbed and broods on his past. He infers that he has ironically been waiting for death, and then reckons that he has squandered parts of his life through anxiety and the woe of coming mortality. These two moments touch on the message that we should live our lives to the fullest and not be weighed down by banal tasks. Therefore, we will fill the vacant parts of our lives with value. Illustrating scenes of living in the moment, the film makes life appear meaningful and imbues it with tranquility. For example, after Bill collapses to the ground, he appears in the hospital. Furthermore, he will be visited by his ex, and they will talk about the current events. Once in a while, they eat ice cream bars. Bill will describe this instance as the happiest moment in his life. Another instance is after he is aware of his coming death, and he exits outside. He starts to notice the mere details of his environment. The scene merges both real life and sketch. This is something that will be seen later on in the movie. What's more, he starts to have aesthetic pleasure for his environment. This highlights a particular message the film is trying to tell because, before this, Bill is caught in monotony and misses the small things in life. Bill finds himself in peace through these events, and as well as find both meaning and beauty in the myriad of stars in the stellar sky. The irony is that he was only able to find it through the sudden nearness of death. Therefore, the film implies that existing in the present moment permeates it with purpose and harmony. Through the film's captures of making atonement of broken relationships, It's Such a Beautiful Day prompts us to consider acts of amends in order to make peace with other people with whom we've fallen out. To reinforce this notion, this next scene, likely the most profoundly emotional scene in the entire film, shows us Bill arriving at a familiar-looking house. Unbeknownst to him, which is his old childhood home, Bill meets a stranger who is his uncle, and he passes to him a written address to his father's home. Bill's father, who is never spoken about, except in Chapter 2, is now known to where he resides. Bill, squandering what little memory he has, arrives at a nursing home. He then meets his father. However, they both neither recognize each other nor understand why they're there in the first place. This is unique because it suggests that the two suffer a similar illness. They both begin to bond, but just before leaving, Bill says, "You are forgiven." This left his father in tears. This is a very sublime way of encouraging us to make amends with people we separated with and to bring peace to our lives. To finish off, It's Such a Beautiful Day sends us a message about living in one and prompts us to live with purpose. The film was able to incorporate this idea through its captures of routineness, existing in present, and making atonement. I firmly believe that this film merits attention because of its uniqueness, and as well as that the audience may experience a sense of aesthetics through this film. I don't see a lot of streaming services with this film. It's mostly absent from the rest of the net, and it is suggested that it's due to Don Hertzfeldt's disdain for studios and corporate greed. Ultimately, It's Such a Beautiful Day is a beautiful medium that employs a neurological disorder to drive its message.